going on? I am back from vacation. It was a nice 3-day vacation. I know how sad some of you are going to feel about this, but the longest vacation I've ever taken was 5 days in my entire life. So 3 days is plenty, and yes, one of them was more of a travel day. But I went to Maine, and it was a great time. But before I go into that, I want to give everybody 4 seconds to make sure you hit subscribe or smack that bell so you get all the alerts from the channel. So I'm going to give you 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you for subscribing. And now I went on this little mini vacation. It felt absolutely amazing, shooting guns and riding quads and being out, in the woods is definitely something that I've found for myself is extremely helpful to not give me a reset, but just be able to blow off some steam. Some people like to sit at the beach, and I do like doing that, maybe for like 2 hours, 3 hours. I can't sit still. So I found all the other stuff, in me is just, that's what I like to do. I can't, I used to fight against it when I was kind of a kid. I think I always thought that I was going to be, more of like the city, type and, doing stuff like this. And I find that you can't fight, who you are at times. So it's like you just, the wave of just really feeling in your element. There's so many times I'm just sitting there with a smirk on my face, because that's just what I like to do. It's who I am. So, once you stop fighting who you are, it can be, extremely rewarding when it was, a great experience, to be able, like I said, to kind of cut loose a little bit. So going to Maine is like one of my favorite things to do, and especially with the wild bunch that I went with. Those guys are just, insane. But it just feels good to be able to go up there, enjoy yourself, and come back. And the ride home was absolutely beautiful. It was nice to be able to just, I think I drove without any music or anything for like an hour, just kind of just driving, focusing on, really focusing on reflecting back on the trip, reflecting, back on what I needed to do, things I needed to change. And I think that's the most important part, that like when you really are in your element and you're at a spot where you really enjoy yourself and you really get something back from it, that's when I notice when the drive home, it happens so fast. It doesn't feel like 6.5 hours or however long it took, but it's amazing to see as you go and like the further you go away, you like look up, or you're watching where you're driving, but you're just almost in a trance of just like thinking about how life is going when after you have truly given yourself a good amount of break. When I was on the way up there, I started Patrick Rothfuss. Wow, I am terrible with names but The Wise Man's Fear, and it was I've read the Name of the Wind, the first one, so I got to listen to that, which oh my God, so good. Now I'm lost in that book too, but in the beginning, like I said, it's just silence, because I think I needed a break from social media, and I do this probably maybe like once a month, where I give myself like a couple days where I'm not like so committed to it, because I feel like you become trapped, and you think that you need to constantly do something when you don't. You don't need to do it. You don't need to see it. You don't need to get those hits of dopamine with the likes and the shares and subscribing and stuff, and you get them all the time. Oh my God, I got more likes, or I got more messages, or I got more things. And I had so many when I got back, and I had service, and I was able to check some things out. So, and then I would literally went right back to work right when I got home. But it helped me clear my head so much more, so I can be more productive. I can be more introspective. I can be more relatable. It's like, yes, I'm doing something I know to be purposeful and for my purpose and the things that I want to do and the people I want to listen to and talk to and the people who motivate me and keep me disciplined and all of that. But it's important for all of you to make sure you're listening to the right person's message and, who's going to be the most relatable to you. So give yourself that break from social media because there's so much information. The information is just coming, things you do want to hear, things you don't want to hear, people who you creep on, who you look at all the time, the people who are constantly looking at you, the people who, you constantly interact with, the people who you wish you were interacting with. And it's like this big giant circle and you need a break from it. It's not something that we're supposed to be doing. I mean, I don't think humans are supposed to be absorbing that much information all the time because you start to lose yourself. So I think I don't think I was losing myself, but I think that me personally, as much as I like talking with people and as much as I'm a conversationalist and as much as I like to be around people, here's something personal about me that most people don't know. I enjoy the silence. I enjoy peace. So there's I like to just sometimes sit down and just kind of think about the day or journal or not talk to anyone, and I think that people are usually shocked when I say stuff like that. But as much as I am a people person, I do like having, an hour and a half of downtime. Sometimes it's a ride, just the ride to work. The ride to the gym for me is my favorite time, because there's nothing, I don't have anything going on. I'm just thinking about my next move. I'm thinking about what I can do better. I'm thinking about, where I screwed up, where I fucked up. And you're like, oh man, I can't do that anymore. It's important to talk about those things too. Call yourself out on your bullshit, which is something that I've done in the more in the past 3 years than I've done at any time. And I think it's just a lot of, just like I said, calling yourself out, being around people who call themselves out. And so taking a nice break and being able to let your thoughts be your own, I think that's huge. Being able to know that the thoughts that you're having, because you've taken breaks from outside influences and pressure, taking that and then you go, oh, those are my thoughts. Those are the ones that I should be listening to, is one of the best thing that you can do for yourself. And that's a huge self-care. Like I said, for some people, it's laying on the beach. Some people, it's buying things, which I think even if you do love like presents and gifts, because I do too. I mean, who doesn't? But those things don't bring me joy. I found this out. I will spend a lot of money as long as people are laughing. I will spend a lot of money if I'll go a long way for a joke. You know what I mean? I'll order something, do something, give something that's going to be a memory, give something that's going to create a memory or something to do rather than just get something for myself, Like, here's another thing you guys might not know. I'm a sneakerhead. I like sneakers and stuff, but I like them for a different reason. Yeah, I like them because they're new and it's cool. But I like them because I like choice. I just like to have the choice. And I'm constantly on my feet. There's like 15 hours a day that I'm on my feet. So I want to make sure that I have, and my feet aren't killing me. So you have newer sneakers. And it's something that I always like. I did as a kid, and I've talked about in this episode, the heroin addict that stole all my shoes. That was a couple episodes ago. I told that story. But that's what people do. They want to, they'll steal your shoes. So, so it's so crazy. Just, hey, stole 9 pair of your shoes for some heroin. That's always a good idea. Nice. Thanks, bud. So I just think that knowing yourself and knowing what you see value in is huge. Like I enjoy doing things for people and not saying it. I've talked about that too. It's like, dude, if you want to do something for somebody, don't hold it over their head or don't post it on social media. Don't, have your phone out in somebody's face. Just do it and move on. But I will go a long way just to make a memory. That's what it is. I will go out of my way to make a memory because those are the things that I remember, and those are the things that later, when you're alone and you're alone in your bed, or you're alone in your head, or you're just watching TV, you think about and you end up smirking and going, yeah, that's that shit right there. That's that good stuff. So, I think it's huge, and I wanted to say this, and to be able to shift and pivot with the podcast, like I, for the longest time, just thought that just focusing on my fitness career and what I was doing as a PT and business owner, like that was my life. Like that's what I'm going to do. And we've obviously built up a really good, place and system here. And I love that. And I have a lot more personal trainers reaching out to me to work for me now, which is nice. But I also have to say this. If you start losing yourself, and I think that I did, that's not what I wanted to be just known for, because I've always had a dream to be a comedian. I always wanted to do stand-up, and I picked a hell of a year, 2020, to try to get on stage for some open mics, which would have been interesting, obviously because of the pandy. So the thing is I started to kind of lose myself. So I think a lot of people start to lose themselves in other people's information on social media. You just start absorbing it and thinking it's your own and thinking this or that. And just take a break. Seriously, find out who you are. And when I pivoted from just posting, a shirtless picture every once in a while, talking about nutrition, talking about this, I love talking about those things. Do not get me wrong. That is one of my passions. It's something I've been doing for, 10 years now, and it's been amazing. It's been great, and it's paid me back in full in so many different ways, more than just financially. But I think that to be able to now put forward something, put your stamp on something, live for a little bit more purpose towards yourself, and now that you know yourself, is so important. And I see this with a lot of young people, and of course I do, because young people are often more confused. And I need to tell you guys this, and you are not if you're 19, you are going to be drastically different when you're 25. And when you're 25, you are going to be drastically different when you're 28. And if you're 28, you are going to be drastically different when you're 33, because I just turned 33 yesterday. So I can tell you, if you're the same as when you were 19, that means you didn't grow. That means you didn't learn anything new. That means you didn't take anything upon yourself. If you're always, complaining about life, that's why you're still there, because you refuse to grow. But all these people's ideas and all the things that you think you know about the world, even somebody like myself who went through absolute hell and struggle at 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, all the way up, to maybe 23, it's like, dude, you are going to have a drastic difference on what the world really is, what life really is. So just take it from a younger person or younger version, because I don't want to say that I'm this old man, but I feel that way at times, because there's people who know way more than I do, and I'm listening to them, to some of them, instead of being young and stubborn and not listening. Because I think that was one quality that I had, was that I learned from other people's mistakes, and I was very observant, so I was always looking and listening and trying not to make those mistakes. So, just take it from me. If you're a young person and you're putting forward in your social media, and you're putting forward in your YouTube, or you're putting forward all these things, why are more people depressed now more than ever? Why are more people, we know why, suicide and stuff like that is up. And if you are listening to this, and just know that, I've been there in that situation, in that scenario. It is not a good situation to be in. Make sure you reach out. Make sure you reach out to somebody immediately if you start thinking that, to a professional, to a friend, to, mainly a professional, but to a friend, to have a good support system. Reach out. Just always reach out when you're in those vulnerable times and vulnerable states. That's what I've found. And it's like, right now, depression and aimlessness and people don't know what to do. But I also think because of the way that we treat a lot of young people. There's a lot of, I don't want to say coddling, but there is a lot of that everybody gets a trophy mentality definitely has hurt a lot of young men and a lot of young women. And I think right now, your expectations are always that your social media is going to be your identity, and that it's going to be this big thing, and everybody wants to be famous and everybody wants to be in front of a camera. I'm only in front of this camera because I just enjoy it. I do not give a shit about, likes, subscribers. I mean, yes, it's nice to see, but I'm actually getting to do this because I enjoy talking and I enjoy interviewing. So and it's just a part of my life now, and I really enjoyed it. When I don't enjoy it anymore, I stop doing it. Simple as that. And I don't make it part of my identity. But if you're in that situation and what you're doing is if you find yourself being depressed with just yourself, you find yourself being upset with, yourself, what content you're putting out. Maybe you're posting, like I was doing, I'd be like shirtless pic, this, or lifting weights and this. And it's like, that's great. That stuff is awesome. And I enjoy it, but it wasn't all I had. It's not all I am, So the expectation, if you're putting out things that are just skin deep out there and you're getting all these likes, and then you put out something that you're really passionate about, like legitimately, and it doesn't get that much traction and doesn't gain that much attention, if you're getting depressed over that, you have to drastically rethink your social media. You have to drastically rethink the way that you present yourself, or the way that you perceive yourself, or the way that you think other people perceive you. Because I was listening to this podcast a while ago. I believe it was Jordan Peterson. I'm pretty sure it was his podcast, where he said that who you are is when who you think you are, and who society and who people that then the people that perceive you, the people who see you, when those two things meet, that's who you are. Like, because now you take who you think you are and how people react to you and who you are and how they see you in society, and you put those together. So a lot of people right now, they're only focusing on how they see themselves, and they're this whole like, oh, I don't care what anybody thinks. I don't care. You're lying to yourself. You do a little bit, and you should, because you should care about how you treat other people. You should care about how you interact with the world. You should care about how you interact with society. And if you don't, usually that it leads to some forms of narcissism. It leads to some forms of, just not having that self-realization. I think that's huge right now. So a lot of young people, I've noticed a lot of young men and women are focused on this side, which is just the side of like, oh, this is who I am. I know who I am. And then how people perceive it. It's not, I don't think you should listen to everybody, because not everybody's a critique. Some people are just trolls and they want to just rip you down. But you should be listening to some people when they're like, hey, man, you don't see, like, the people in your personal life, they're like, hey, this is really upsetting you. This is not a good situation. So, I mean, you got to listen to some people. So I think that if you can make those two things meet and also still live a genuinely happy life, and it's not positivity and happiness all the time. That's another thing that kills me, is like this false positivity movement that we have, that you can't be upset or sad or negative or pissed off in a day, is insane to me. Stop teaching people this shit. It is not true. You should not be positive, smiling, happy all the time. If you do, you're a psychopath, in my opinion. I think you're crazy. And you're lying to yourself, because yes, things do not have to upset you. I think Marcus Aurelius said that. He said, yes, this doesn't have to upset you, And it's true, things don't. But you need some self-awareness, and you need to know that, hey, sometimes, you gotta make sure you do it. You gotta have that self-realization. Otherwise, what are you doing? So anyway, I just think that so many people can change up little things when they understand that you're going to hit some bumps in the road. You're going to hit some things that you're not going to be happy about. It's okay to be sad for the day because you're upset at how you did something. That means you care about what you did. If you fuck up, if you screw up and you care, you should be sad. You should be nervous about things. you should be unhappy with some things because then that means you care. So just focus on having those two things meet, who you are and how society perceives you. Have those two things meet. And if they do, that's usually who you are. So with that being said, I can put that to rest. It's the cutest little cup in the world, little espresso cup. So we have some new guests coming on. I'm booked up for the next couple of weeks with guests, which will be nice. But my first guest that I will have on in, I believe, 1 week, 2 weeks, is Nicholas the Geezer, a.k.a. Nicholas Adams. He is a artist in Piercer. I talked about him a little bit on the last podcast, and it builds some real intrigue. I used to know him, grew up with him as a kid, and he seems to have a very interesting story. He puts forth some absolute beautiful jewelry and beautiful art as far as with piercings in tattoos. I thought that was pretty cool just to be able to see. It's not my thing. I don't want any more piercings. I don't want any piercings or anything like that. But to be able to talk to somebody who has had that sense of purpose and been able to really put it forward in a real positive way, I think is huge. So I'm looking forward to having him on the podcast in the next couple of weeks. And we also have some other ones, but I'll wait. I'll kind of give you guys little nibbles as we go. And so, listen, I know it is going to be a fairly short podcast today because I wasn't able to get any of their submissions in because I was in the middle of nowhere, 6.5 hours away in Maine. So make sure you guys, just kind of keep sending in those submissions with hell yeah versus hell no. I believe I still have plenty to do, so I'll make sure I put that on for next week. And the submissions for bad song lyrics, the submission for a bad photo, make sure you guys throw those in there. I'll make sure I put those in. And seriously, thank you all for liking, sharing, and subscribing. You guys are the best. I've really enjoyed just growing, with this, and I've really enjoyed all the people that have just been, that I've been interacting with, and the people that I'll be doing some skits with. So look out for those things as well. Make sure you hit the bell on my YouTube channel, so that way you guys can get those as soon as they come out. So listen, I'm out of here. I have a hell of a day ahead of me. I have some PT I got to do today. I got to make sure I get my cardio in because that's all I was eating was steak and lobster drenched in butter all week. So I need to make sure I get my workouts in. So seriously, thank you all for liking, sharing, subscribing, and seriously, thank you all for your support. I'm out of here. Leaving. I must go. Later.